GLP drugs like Ozempic.
Many people are walking around deficient in vitamin D.
What one dietary mistake that can quietly impact the hair health?
A diet is something you do and something you stop.
What's the best breakfast to have?
Your skin absorbs everything that you put on the outside.
Chemical can basically destroy your hair follicle.
100%.
How are you? I'm Nathan. I think I'm fine. How are you, Sharon? Nice to meet you.
Welcome back to another episode of Jadu Beauty Podcast, where New York's best share their passion about natural beauty and balance. Today we are joined by someone who truly embodies that balance, Sharon Zarabi.
Registered dietitian Sharon Zarabi.
Hi, my name is Sharon Zarabi. I'm Sharon Zarabi.
Sharon's journey evolved into a remarkable career, helping thousands rediscover the joy of taking care of their bodies inside and out. From competitive sport to clinical nutrition, Sharon brings a unique, grounded perspective on what it really means to live and feel well. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you.
You come from a big family that happens to love food, from what I read. Tell me your first memory in the kitchen with your mom.
Oh gosh, all right. You put me on the spot with this question because I do come from a big family. I'm one of 5 kids and I'm smack in the middle of 2 separate generations. So my mom was busy. And as much as I'd love to say my cooking passion started with her, I think it's more that my appreciation for food and healthy eating started with her. I don't have any fond memories of standing next to the pot and putting ingredients in there with her because I was playing sports. I was in a long day school. I didn't come home till late, so food was already prepared. But it was my mother, and I don't think she knows this, I have to really credit my career and appreciation to nutrition because she was an immigrant and coming from Iran and transitioning to American Western food. I'll never forget, she always said, this is so salty, this is so sweet. Right. So as a kid, I always heard like, oh, everything's salty and sweet and greasy, and that is the typical Western American diet. We put a lot of salt and sugar and fat in our foods. So it was really her who taught me cooking with more herbs and spices and stews and vegetables and the time that it really takes to curate these meals. I mean, she spent hours in the kitchen, right? Chopping up green onions and chopping up all the green vegetables. So it was really with her that I understood the foundation of what a meal looks like and really just the passion and love of a mother's cooking and how different it is than, you know, the fast food that we pick up today.
Of course. When did you realize that nutrition was so much more than food, that it can actually change someone's life?
It happened in the gym floor. As you mentioned, I started off as a personal trainer before I became a registered dietitian. My father said, if you want to live out of this house and you're not going to get married at the age of 18, you're on your own, make your own money. Personal training was a great way for me to get fast money. So when I was in the gym floors, I remember training people very hard. I was an athlete in high school, nothing competitive in college, but I just embodied the human frame. And I was training people very, very hard, but I wasn't seeing any changes in their physique. And we took the conversation in, what are you doing outside of the gym? We're lifting weights, we're getting your heart rate up. What are you doing when you go home? And I just heard people telling me, oh, I'm eating, again, a lot of processed foods, a lot of rice, a lot of pasta, a lot of canned fruits and vegetables. And that's where the conversation started, where food can really impact your performance, food can impact your risk of disease, food can impact treating disease. So it was at a young age. And then also just for myself, I was in the gym and I was training hard, and sometimes my workouts were just very difficult. And that's where protein, vitamins, minerals, like just the science of what we put in our body affects our day-to-day function. And that's where I wanted to learn more and took a deeper dive into nutrition.
You worked as a bariatric program director at Lenox Hill Hospital, which is so impressive. How did that experience shape your philosophy around nutrition and wellness?
That was really where the magic happened. It was a very robust, very busy, high volume weight loss surgery practice. I saw people from so many different walks of life. And I remember sitting and talking as a registered dietitian. Now I'm talking food, right? Not exercise. Trying to train people on what to eat after having weight loss surgery. And I realized these people who've been struggling with their weight for so long and now need to have their stomach removed and their intestines rerouted for weight loss to treat obesity, still didn't even understand how to read a food label, still didn't understand what carbs and fats and proteins were. So I felt like I had to take them back and almost like recondition and reframe their mind to what food is. For most people, food is just, most of the people that came into my practice who struggled with weight loss, food was a void. Yes, you're having this weight loss surgery, but we're not doing surgery on your brain. We're doing surgery on your stomach. So let's talk about how do carbs affect you? How do proteins affect you? Because overall, food is not something you're ever going to stop eating, right? You know, you can tell an alcoholic stop drinking alcohol. Right. You can tell someone stop smoking, but you can't tell them to stop eating. Right. And you know, food is very social. I mean, it brings people together.
Social and therapeutic.
Yes, yes. So we had to really embody all of that and teach people that you're getting a second lease to life. You're having this surgery to really make yourself healthy. We want to heal you. So let's understand what you're going to be eating differently after surgery. And it's nothing different than I would have told anyone else who wants to, you know, take charge of their health and live a healthy life. It's the same food. What you eat before surgery and what you eat after is still the same to lead you to, you know, a strong, healing body.
Why bariatric?
Got my degree. I remember meeting a family friend of ours who worked in the bariatric space. She was selling medical equipment for people who were overweight. And when I told her what I wanted to do, I said, I want to help people live their healthiest life. I want to help people lose weight. She said, you should look into bariatric surgery. I had no idea what it was. I had no background, knowledge, experience, but I'm very grateful. One medical doctor who is still my mentor hired me, and I just took my background in the gym of helping people lose weight and brought that into an outpatient office setting, and it was honestly, it is everything I wanted to.
Rewarding. It's so rewarding, of course. Absolutely.
And I'll never forget when I went on my first interview at a hospital, straight out of getting my certification and passing my exam, and I called my mom crying. And I said, Mom, I just wasted 6 years of my life studying nutrition. I don't want to do this. I don't want to work with sick people. Everybody has to work in a hospital before they get a job and get this experience. And it was scary for me because I felt like I was following what everyone else told me you're supposed to do. And really my heart was I wanted to like help people. I didn't want to see them in the hospital for 10 minutes when they're being discharged right after a surgery to eat less sodium or eat less sugar or follow the diabetic diet or the heart healthy diet or all these basically, you know, handouts. I was following a handout and educating a family. This is what you need to eat now that you are on your recovery. I wanted to sit with people one-on-one. I wanted to be more impactful. I wanted to see the continuity of care. I wanted to make a bigger difference and build a relationship. So
you often say that what we put into our bodies shows up on the outside. How closely are diet and health connected in your view?
Oh, so connected. I mean, you are what you eat. I think you and I, we've all experienced that when you eat foods that are low in nutritional level or highly processed, you don't feel good. And when you don't feel good, you don't want to do anything, and it just becomes this cycle of you don't feel well, you don't eat well, you don't eat well, you don't feel good. So they're very much connected, and it's part of my role is just teaching people how to eat for their body based on their lifestyle, because there is not one way to do it.
You build your entire career around education and empowerment. How do you define health today?
So, it's such an interesting question, because if I got $1 for every time someone would text me, whether it's a friend or a colleague, or like, what is health, like, is this healthy? And you know, when you look at the word healthy, it means free from disease.
Yeah.
And if you look at the word healthy, and this is something I always used to teach my patients, is that the word healthy, what's the first 4 letters in that word? HEAL, heal.
Right.
So how do you heal your body to feel healthy? And when you look at the word diet, what are the first 3 letters in the word diet?
Yeah,
So I just think that, yeah, teaching people how to feel healthy, eat healthy, it just goes back to eating clean, you know, natural ingredients. You know it better than anyone else. Yeah. Eating as close to nature as possible. If your grandma wasn't eating it, you shouldn't be eating it. If you can't read or pronounce the, you know, ingredients on the back of a label, don't eat it. That shouldn't be your everyday food. So that's simple, that's basic.
We hear so much about collagen, biotin supplements. Are they truly effective, or is it more about consistency in everyday nutrition?
So supplements are exactly what they say, in supplement to a healthy diet. It's something you take when you might be, you know, restricting a certain food from your diet, whether you have a food allergy or dietary restrictions. If you're vegan or vegetarian, there's certain elements, there's certain vitamins and nutrients you're not getting from food, right? So when you're a vegetarian, you're taking out all animal products. So biotin and collagen are found in mostly animal products.
Yes.
You're going to find them in beef stock, you're going to find it in salmon, spinach, eggs, tofu. So you could get collagen and biotin from eating those foods. And there is a place for supplements when you are maybe restricting yourself from certain foods that contain that. But anything that you take too much of, so if you're taking supplements and you don't know where they're being sourced or exactly how much of the actual element is in there, your kidneys are almost like your filtering system. So when you put too much of anything in your body, your kidneys have to filter it out. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a supplement out there that people are taking maybe toxic levels of, and you're straining your kidneys.
Yeah, that's correct. What one dietary mistake that you see most often that can quietly impact the hair health?
Extreme dieting, extreme weight loss. Your hair and your nails are made from amino acids, which are basically the building blocks of protein in what we eat. And when you are going on an extreme crash diet and you're reducing your calories and you're not eating enough protein, you will see that impact in your.
So it's the protein.
It's protein, it's iron, it's zinc and vitamin A, to name a few. Going back to my bariatric days, when someone has one of the extreme surgeries and they reroute their intestines and they malabsorb, that's part of the weight loss. They're also malabsorbing vitamins. So I had most bariatric patients start to have thin, brittle, and hair loss for the first 6 months of their weight loss journey. And we would see by taking blood work that they were deficient in some of those vitamins.
So protein.
Protein. In fact, protein in Greek.
Yeah.
What's pro? Pro means professional, prologue. It means first in place.
Right.
Tain, nutrition, nutrient. So the protein is the most important nutrient that our body needs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have to take something from our Latin and Greek.
Yeah, well, let's say you're someone who's not exactly, you happen to be, I don't know, vegan, vegetarian.
You can still get protein on a vegan and vegetarian. Yeah, I mean, you can find protein in nuts and seeds and certain grains, quinoa, tofu. There's lots of protein. You just need to be a little more vigilant in how you get that protein. It takes a lot more care. And if you are a vegetarian, some people are ovo-lacto vegetarian, so they'll eat eggs and they'll eat milk, but they won't have animal products. So you just need to find a happy zone. And most importantly, ask yourself, why are you following a certain diet? I've seen many of my patients coming in saying, I'm on a vegetarian diet. They're still overweight. And the only reason they were on a vegetarian diet is because they thought by taking out protein, they'll lose weight. But then they're also eating potato chips and bread and pasta, which are all carbs. You need to really take a step back and really ask yourself, why am I following this lifestyle? Why am I following this style of eating? I want to avoid using the word diet, but what prompts someone to follow that? Are you following a vegetarian style of eating because you care for animal welfare, and environmental factors? So if it's for weight loss, I haven't seen too many people be very successful.
I doubt that very much. At Jadu, we believe that beauty doesn't have to come from harsh chemicals. What's your perspective on the number of synthetic ingredients people use every day, often unknowingly?
Yeah, people don't know what they're putting on the outside of their body. I mean, it's so funny. I used to love the hand soaps that you can smell, or the lotions that come with, perfume, not realizing until I became more educated in the field that these are chemicals. And your skin is the largest organ of your body. I don't think anyone realizes that. Your epidermis. Yes. And your skin is permeable. I knew that. I'm sure you're in the beauty industry, so you have to. Your skin absorbs everything that you put on the outside, and that is absorbed into your bloodstream. So that does affect hormones. That does affect toxic levels that can build up. When you start lathering it in chemicals, it offsets its harmony, and it's not working at its full ability.
Do you think there is a safe middle ground where modern science and nature can coexist in harmony for our well-being?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, if we didn't have science, we wouldn't be able to understand how vitamins, minerals, proteins, everything that we just spoke about affects us. I mean, back in the day when we were hunters and gatherers, we knew plants and nature have medicinal properties, but it wasn't until science came into play that we now understand, well, how much is enough? Some plants can be toxic, some can be detrimental to our health, some can be poisonous. So yes, we'd have to eat it and then see what happens to our body, but science almost helps us understand that better. It helps us fortify foods. I mean, there's many third world countries where people are malnourished. I mean, we might be overnourished here in the Western, higher society countries, but science helps us fortify foods. We put iron, fluoride, and other ingredients. Again, we make vitamins and supplements for those who need it. Not everybody needs it. Yeah. But the science gives us the why. Why is calcium good for us? Because it helps with bone health.
Talk to me about vitamin D.
Vitamin D, there's so much noise out there about vitamin D. Some people say it's the panacea, that it cures all disease. We don't get enough of it in certain cities. We're in New York. It would be nice to be down south or on the West Coast. It is a hormone. Vitamin D is a hormone.
It is?
Yeah, and there's just so many different factors that affect its bioavailability. It does help with bone health. It does help with immunity. But many people are walking around deficient in vitamin D. I have lots of patients who are on supplements. And again, going back to my weight loss surgery patients, we were giving them doses of almost 50,000 units of vitamin D a day. Women, aging women specifically, who might be even in their menopausal stage of life, they need 1,000 international units of vitamin D a day.
At Jadu, we believe that hair care begins at the scalp. From your nutrition movement lens, how important is the soil of our scalp to healthy hair growth?
Scalp is the breeding ground of your hair follicles to grow. You start putting harsh chemicals and stuff in here, it is going to clog your pores. It is going to give your hair a very unhealthy environment, an ecosystem to be growing in. I mean, take it even further. If you were to plant a garden and your soil, you're watering your plants or the seeds with Coca-Cola, and then you have trash on the soil, is the seed going to grow? No. So think of your hair follicles the same way.
The same way.
Yeah, it's going to be brittle. It's going to lack luster. It's going to be broken. It might not grow in its, different phases. So it is important that you put clean.
Chemical can basically destroy your hair follicle.
100%. Yeah.
In your experience, how do emotional well-being and nutrition work together in shaping how we look and feel?
This goes back to what we were saying about my patients. I mean, when you feel good, you eat well. I think we're all evidence to this. I mean, when you are tired and you don't feel well, your energy levels are low. What's the first thing someone takes when they want quick energy?
Me, personally, sugar.
Sugar, exactly. Because that helps spike up your energy levels. But anything that spikes up crashes down. So in the long term, it doesn't help you. And you took the sugar because you weren't feeling well. So imagine if we went to the first step. If I eat well, I feel good. It almost puts you just in the proper rhythm. And, it goes back to emotionally, if you are feeling stressed, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling overwhelmed, fix the feeling.
Yeah.
Do not resort to food, because that's a whole nother conversation that can lead into so many different avenues.
I feel like nutrition and psychology is so connected with each other.
I used to call myself a food therapist.
Exactly. You are a food therapist because you get depressed, you run to the sugar, you get upset, you run to the potato chips, or all of these things to make you feel better.
Yeah, so we really have to get to the root of the issue. Why are you feeling the way you do? And let's fix that, because we need to eat. We need protein, we need healthy fats, we need fiber, and we could talk about how all those elements work in our body. But when we're not feeling good about ourselves, it's very rare, and it's not going to help if I'm a dietitian and I tell someone, well, eat your grilled chicken salad, with your green leafy vegetables, and you'll feel good. It goes deeper. Why aren't you doing it? It's healthy.
It's not as good as a donut.
It's not as satisfying. So there are places, again, there's a time and a place for the donut. You have your donut, the sugar is dessert at the end of the meal, right? Because breaking your fast, this is the worst thing anyone can do in their diet, just a little tip. Breaking your fast, so breakfast, with a donut, with a croissant, with a cookie, with a sweetened sugary cereal is the worst thing you can do, and puts you in a downward spiral to crave more sugar.
So what's the best breakfast to have?
Protein and fiber. So eggs and whole wheat toast, a vegetable omelet, oatmeal with peanut butter or almond butter, Greek yogurt with berries. So you pair a protein with a fiber and you eat them together.
How do you chill out and relax?
I had to learn how to relax. I think as I've gotten older and more mature and wiser, you learn that if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And in order for me to show up to be my best self for my patients, for my daughters, for my husband, I need some time for myself. And it's creating that separation. When I'm overwhelmed at work, exercise, movement, 100% is the exercise. And it doesn't mean, listen, before being married and before having kids, I was in the gym 90 minutes a day because I thought the gym was all about vanity. I wanted to look good. Now, the gym is my sanity. I need it to make me more present and ground me to function.
When do you usually go, morning or afternoon?
I have to be flexible.
Yeah.
My husband takes the morning routine. I usually do it after work later in the. It's what calms me, honestly. I think I get so built up with work that it's that little separation before I come home.
A routine.
It does become, and I've always been like that. And I'm not the norm. Most people are like, oh, well, I always thought it's better to exercise in the morning to get your day started. I tell my patients and anyone, you exercise when you find the time. Because if you start putting limits that I can only go in the morning because that's what I do, and you label yourself, then you'll never be able to be flexible throughout your day. Things happen. Yeah, I'd love to go at 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'm also rushing out of the house and getting my kids ready for school and making breakfast and getting to my job myself. The morning is not the best time for me. On the weekends it is, because I'm not running anywhere and I have help. Do what works for you, and even if that means walking or jogging for 7 minutes, or taking the stairs up and down in a building that you work at, movement is essential.
So walking is okay in your opinion? Because some people say walking is, you don't really, your heart doesn't beat fast, so it means that you don't burn enough calories, or...
So you have to ask yourself, why am I working out? So walking is great, it's physical activity, but jogging is more purposeful exercise, and there's a difference between the two. So you got to ask yourself,
Do you lose weight from walking when you take the 10,000?
No.
You need to be in a zone 2, a zone 3, a zone 4. You need to get that heart rate up, as you said, to burn body fat. Walking is great, again, for that peace of mind, right? I need to separate myself from the stress of getting, dinged from my emails on my phone. Walking is great to separate and just move. But weight loss is a whole nother conversation. You got to start strength training. You got to start lifting weights. You have to put stress on your body. You have to get your heart rate variability up in order to lose weight, burn body fat. So they're two different formulas. Walking is great for someone who sits all day. You can't tell someone who sits at their desk reading emails, from 9 to 5, or working at a screen, to start jogging. Everything has its step. Someone's never worked out before. You start off with walking, you build up to jogging, you start putting intervals of jogging, walking, jogging, walk. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. It's interval training.
Oh, let's move to a very popular subject now, GLP drugs, like Ozempic. What is your opinion about these drugs?
Let's talk about what GLPs are, right? So GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It is a hormone that our body naturally makes from our gut. So when you eat something, food goes into your stomach, it hits the intestines release this GLP-1 to your brain, and it says, stop eating, we're good. You stop eating, your portions get smaller. It also affects gastric emptying. So when you eat something, the longer food stays in your stomach, the more full you are, the less likely you are to overeat. So GLP-1s are a natural hormone. They help you stay full, they help you eat less. I have many patients who are on GLP-1s who are not losing weight. Why? Because these are those same people that we're talking about who have an emotional issue going on, and no matter what their stomach and their brain is signaling to them stop eating, the emotion, the stress, the anxiety, the connection to food is just so much deeper and stronger that they ignore those physiological symptoms. So there is a subset of my patients who I work with who are on GLP-1s, and I'm not seeing changes, and I have to get through the relationship with food that's just broken, and the connection they have with their...
I thought it has a connection to the brain.
It does.
GLP-1 is not the first weight loss drug. There were so many other weight loss drugs that were maybe oral or had other side effects that just didn't work for people. There's lots of appetite suppressants out there. This is the first gut hormone mimicking analog that exists. So that's why it's gotten a lot of attention. It also was intentionally created for diabetes. So people who have type 2 diabetes, who have excess blood sugar, the GLP-1s are supposed to reduce that. And when you have less sugar in your blood, your body starts to use fat as energy, and that's how you lose body fat. So it works in many different ways. It affects the metabolism, it affects your appetite, but you have to pay attention to it. So when you feel this way, you need to eat a certain way. And the other problem with the GLPs, some people don't realize, is that because it takes away your appetite, you just don't eat at all. So then they're losing a lot of weight, but that's almost starving themselves. So where do the dietitians come in? Where do the physicians come in? Where does the medical team come in? It's to train people. When you're on this drug, even though you're not hungry, you still need to eat. What are you eating now? It's not going to be the bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning, right? You can't, and you should not expect to lose weight eating those type of foods either. Now you're going to create a whole new foundation to your breakfast, right? It's going to have the dark leafy green vegetables. It's going to have the fresh fruit. It's going to have the high fiber foods. It's going to be the protein sources, the healthy fats. So there is a re-education on how do I eat when I'm taking these GLP-1s. There is a let me reconnect with my body. How do I feel? What should I eat? What do I do? And most importantly, we cannot discount exercise. Because when you lose weight on these GLP-1s, it's not just from body fat, it's also water, it's also muscle. So what do you think you need to do to preserve muscle?
Yeah, exercise. What does it do to the metabolism?
So it goes back to, it doesn't just speed up your metabolism, right? No. I get that question all the time. Or what do I eat to speed up my metabolism? Nothing changes your metabolism except for exercise. Because metabolism is how does your body utilize energy? Energy is calories. Calories is food. When you eat the right ratios of food, that affects your metabolism. When you utilize the energy through physical exercise, weightlifting, running, that utilizes energy. So it always goes back to healthy eating and exercise.
I mean, do you think these medications are overprescribed?
I think they're definitely getting in the wrong hand of some people, you know, who might take their vanity to the extreme. I do have a lot of patients whose physicians just gave it to them because they pushed and asked. I just, you know, there's a new thing called microdosing where people are taking smaller doses than what is prescribed for longevity and for menopause and for maybe not such extreme weight loss. So I recommend really consulting with your doctor when it comes to considering these medications to really figure out, is it right for you?
I have read an article that a lot of the OBGYNs right now are prescribing this medication for their patients because no matter what they do, they cannot lose weight, but they give it to them, as you said, with low dosage.
And again, I'm not against the GLP-1s. They work. I just want to make sure that people are still eating a standard healthy diet.
What happens when they stop this drug?
You're going to gain the weight back. I hate to say it, but when you stop it, your appetite comes back. So why should everyone be on it forever? That's, one of the conversations.
What should they do?
What should they do? If you're going to take it, do it as almost like a training, a therapy. You're retraining yourself how to eat. Learn to eat your vegetables, your protein, your healthy fats. Learn to exercise. Use this as the catalyst to change. And if you start to wean yourself off these medications, you now have that foundation, right? You're never going to go back to, if you started the GLP-1s and you're like 200 pounds and then you lose, let's say it again, and this is not real, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Let's say you lose 50 pounds and then you stop it. You're never going to go back to the 200 pounds if you are still following the exercise, the eating right. So these are just some things to really consider.
Some people stay on a low dosage so they don't gain.
There are some people who do stay on a low dose. There's some people who go on a high dose and come back to a low dose. And you got to remember with these medications, and I'm sure everyone's heard it, there are side effects, right? This delayed gastric emptying can affect how food leaves your stomach, and it could put a strain on your pancreas and other organs in the system. So you will hear people complain of side effects like nausea, vomiting, constipation. That will happen with these medications.
Who you wouldn't recommend these types of drug to that they want to get it?
People who have GI issues, for people who may have thyroid cancer, for people who have an eating disorder, right? That goes into the psychology, and no matter how much weight they lose, it's never enough. But that's why it's really important. Again, I'm just a dietitian. I've seen people on these meds, but it's really important to just consult with your primary care doctor or endocrinologist or anyone who's prescribing these medications.
So basically continue the exercising and eating normally to maintain that weight. And
And exercise means, different things to different people. Find people you like. Find something you like. It kills me when a doctor just says to a patient, you don't need the medication. Just go, eat less and move more and you'll be fine. There are some people who have an issue, a hormonal imbalance, a metabolic dysfunction that these medications work for.
but there's also people who don't like to exercise.
Right. You know how many of my patients are allergic to exercise? So I say, you know what? What do you like?
As I'm getting older, it's harder for me, Sharon.
Can you do Zumba? Can you do strength training, can you do floor exercises of putting ankle weights?
And also, don't forget, as you get older, you can also hurt yourself.
You can hurt yourself, so that's why it's important that first of all, if exercise is ever painful, you're not doing it right. I'm telling you that as a personal trainer. Exercise is not meant to hurt you. You might feel delayed onset muscle soreness. You might feel, something working in your body, but it shouldn't hurt you. If you're doing it, if it's hurting and painful, you're not doing the proper movement. And that's why personal trainers or exercise physiologists or physical therapists might be a good place to start. But you have to find, I'm going to throw it back at you then. When you do exercise, the times that you do, how do you feel?
Happy.
Happy, right? There is some element to the hormone connection that your endorphins are just like raging. Yeah. You feel good. So it's very rare that I hear you say it's hard. I hear you say I don't have time. But I want you to just remember, how do you feel after a workout? And it doesn't mean you need to work out for 60 minutes, right? We said even 20 minutes of something that you enjoy doing. Or, now with all these apps, there's thousands of trainers and classes and workouts that you could do at the palm of your hand in your studio apartment. It's just something to get that heart rate up.
You have seen diet trends come and go, from keto to juicing. What's your opinion about these diets?
A diet is something you do and something you stop. It's not lifestyle. I'm not in the lose the weight industry or business. I'm in the keep the weight off business or industry. It's long term. You need to do something sustainable. You need to do something that works for you. You need to do something that energizes you and not zaps your energy. So it all goes back to, again, eating the protein, eating the fiber, eating multiple times in the day. Maybe for some people it's intermittent fasting. I mean, different things work for different people.
What's the worst one?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot with this.
Keto?
No, keto works for some people. And in fact, the ketogenic diet was created for people who had seizures. Okay. It's an anti-seizure diet. Okay. When you starve the cells, there's some metabolic component. So yes, it also helps with diabetics, but it's extreme, right? On a ketogenic diet, you can only get 30 grams of carbohydrates a day. That's an apple a day. So I don't believe in keto, but I believe in low carb. But I don't believe in low carb meaning starving yourself and denying yourself of desserts. I believe in the 80-20 bucket. 80% you eat clean, one ingredient, natural foods, and the other 20% is the birthday party, is the celebration, is the weekend, is the occasional alcohol, because it's not about depriving yourself. You still want to eat well. And this is where I come in. These are where registered dietitians come in. We sit, we talk to you. Right. What's your lifestyle? What's your eating habits? What are you feeling? What's your relationship with food? What do you like to eat? Because I'd be retired if my job was just giving someone a diet and say, hey, follow this and you'll live well. Right. There's a reason why people don't execute what they know.
So if someone comes to your office and says, pretty much, what's the healthiest diet for me to follow? It would be what?
As close to nature as possible. And what does that mean? That means farro, quinoa, oats, beans, dark leafy green vegetables, spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, string beans. Notice I didn't say iceberg lettuce or romaine lettuce because they're white in color and anything.
So I'm doomed because I don't eat any of that stuff. I was about to say lettuce. Yes, at least I have lettuce.
You look
At least lettuce, but no.
You feel it. And not to say that they're bad. I'm giving you the higher quality foods, right? If you had a piggy bank, and you can fill it up with $100 bills or pennies, what are you going to fill it up with? So these are the higher value foods. You're getting more bang for your buck.
What about fruits?
Fruits are good, but not in, people overconsume fruits. You don't need 5 fruits a day. Fruits still contain sugar. My recommendation, and to eat a fruit in combination to a fat or a protein, because remember we spoke about those blood sugar fluctuations. You don't want your sugar to spike, so eating fruits that have thick skin, has high fiber, has less sugar, and eating them with, like, fruit with yogurt, fruit with nuts, fruit with after your meal.
But nuts contain a lot of fat.
They do, but they're healthy fats, and you need fat in your diet for hormonal, and women in their reproductive ages need fat. But we're not talking about heavy amounts, right? When I'm saying nuts, I'm talking about 20 nuts. And listen, once you pop, you can't stop. It's hard to have like 10 nuts. So why not take the nuts, crush them, and throw them on your oatmeal, throw them in your rice, throw them in your salad. When you eat them alone, it becomes hard to control. So it should be part of the meal rather than isolated. Unless you're doing a snack, right? If you're hungry in between meals, nuts are a great way to hold you over so you're not overeating.
There are so many medications out there that I think women are taking to get hair growth, and it was very interesting. I was sitting in a wedding the other day, and two of my friends are using it, and they were both saying that the side effect was that they were getting hair everywhere else in their body. But that wouldn't scare me as much as I get scared taking something chemical, because I don't know what it would do eventually to the organs in my body.
Listen, it's the body, you're telling your hair to grow, but we have hair everywhere, right? We have hair to keep us warm just from our ancient history when we were not living in cozy little, apartments and homes. Hair was there to regulate our body temperature. And when this actually even happens with some of my patients who were anorexic, when their body fat levels were significantly low and they would always be cold and chilly, they would grow hair. Or if people have metabolic disorders, they grow hair. So your body doesn't know where you need the hair when you're taking these vitamins. It doesn't say, oh, it's just coming up here. So that would be a side effect. But yeah, I mean, you don't know what the long-term effects are, right?
Again, going back to something that you said that example, when we put something on our bodies, on our skin, it does enter the bloodstream. So if someone puts chemical in their scalp, so it would go into the,
Many natural things you could put in your hair. There's tea tree oil, there's avocado, there's coconut oil. And notice I'm saying all oils. Oils are fats. We need fat, and it's not just on the outside, it's also on the inside. So eating these foods, egg yolk is good as a conditioner. It has fat, it has lutein, it has zinc. There's just so many.
So you agree to go chemical free over?
That's that is my personal philosophy, my belief. I mean, we work so hard at feeling good and eating well. Why go then to put synthetic stuff on the outside?
Exactly.
And if you do see it in a beauty product that it's expensive, it's because it's a real ingredient. Chemicals are so cheap.
Sharon, it was such a pleasure to have you. If I take a test, I probably would have flunked it today because I know nothing, it seems like. But it was honestly a very eye-opening conversation for me, for sure, and I'm sure for all of us as well. Before you go, we wanted to give you a little tiny gift. This is one of our products, one of our favorite products. It's the Jadu Split End Care, which acts like a mask. It's like a mask for the hair. This is really special because this is a family recipe that came from Anna's family and has been in her family for generations. It's refined right here in New York. It's 100% chemical free, 100%. And it really, for us, it does wonders, and I hope you would love it as much as all of us do.
Oh, I love it. Love in every drop. Yeah, you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself to want to take care of yourself.
I learned that from Anna.
It's so funny. There's so many key words in here. Jadu is more than a product. It's a piece of my heart, created with love for the family. Each bottle is a promise of care, crafted from the purest nature to nurture yours. This is my philosophy. This is my motto when it comes to taking care of yourself. So this has got coconut oil, coffee beans, castor bloom infusion, and herbal magic extract. Everything I can pronounce.
For everybody that joined us today, thank you so much. If you'd like to share your own story about wellness, beauty, you can get in touch with us via email at support@jadubeauty.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again, Sharon.
Thank you for this.
It was a
letting me
pleasure.
share this platform.
Thank you so much. See you guys.